You thought they were finally opening up. You thought the connection was real. Then, just like that, they pulled away. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And now you're stuck, staring at your phone, playing detective in your own story. Are they gone for good? Are they ever coming back? Hi, I'm Jim Rohn, and if you've ever been on the receiving end of a relationship with someone emotionally avoidant, you already know how painful it is when someone chooses distance over depth. Here's what most people don't understand. An avoidant ex doesn't come back because they suddenly realize your value. They come back after cycling through a quiet emotional process that takes time, space, and a series of internal stages that most people never. That's exactly what we're going to unpack in today's video. 7 stages and the emotional timeline avoidant exes tend to go through before they return. Each phase reveals something critical: what they feel, what they're avoiding, and why your silence might be louder than any words you could have said. If you're tired of wondering, if you're done blaming yourself and you want to finally understand what's actually going on behind their distance, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel if this kind of deep, emotionally intelligent content is something you want more of. This is where we break the cycle, where confusion turns into clarity and self-doubt becomes self-worth. Let's get into it. These are the 7 emotional stages avoidants go through before they come back. All right, let's talk about what actually happens in stage 1, relief and emotional disconnection. And I want you to take a breath here because this part can feel a little rough, but it's not personal. In fact, this stage says way more about them than it does about you. Here's what most people don't realize. When an avoidant ex walks away, their first emotional response usually isn't sadness or regret, it's relief. Not because they didn't care, not because the relationship meant nothing, but because emotional closeness for them can feel overwhelming, like too much, too fast, too soon. So when they finally get that space, they feel like they can breathe again. They convince themselves that leaving was the right move. I needed space. It was getting too serious. This is for the best. They may even feel oddly calm or cold. That's because they're not processing the breakup the way someone with a secure attachment would. They're disconnecting. This stage is all about self-preservation. Avoidants are wired to pull away when things feel emotionally intense. And when they do, their brain gives them that short-term reward, relief. Like, phew, I escaped that pressure. But let's be real, that relief is temporary. They're not actually fine. They're just avoiding, and the reason this hurts so much for you is because you're still in connection mode. You're still feeling everything. Meanwhile, they're leaning into numbness, and that mismatch, it sucks. It makes you think you meant nothing, but please hear this. Their detachment is a defense mechanism, not a reflection of your worth. This is the stage where many people panic. They feel the distance and want to fix it. They text, they over-explain, they try to reconnect. But here's the truth. If you chase them during stage 1, all you're doing is reinforcing their need for space. You're showing up in connection while they're showing up in escape. So, what should you do instead? You match the energy. You step back, not to punish, not to manipulate, but to protect your peace. Let them sit in the silence they created. Because I promise you, the longer the silence lasts, the less comforting it becomes for them. And that's what leads them into stage 2, doubt. But for now, your job is to breathe, pull your focus inward, and resist the urge to fix what isn't yours to fix. You didn't cause their avoidance, and you can't rescue them from it. If this part of the process hits home for you, I want you to hit that like button so I know this is resonating, and make sure you subscribe if you want to keep learning how to move through these stages with strength and clarity. Drop a comment and let me know where you are in this journey. Stage 1, stage 2, somewhere in between? I read every one, and I'm here to walk this with you. Now, let's get ready for stage 2 when the cracks start to show. Now let's talk about stage 2. When doubt starts to creep in. So remember how in stage 1 your avoidant ex was feeling all that relief? Like they finally had space, freedom, no pressure. They convinced themselves leaving was the right move, and maybe they even seemed perfectly fine, posting like nothing happened, acting unbothered. But now, that relief starts to wear off. It doesn't hit all at once, but it builds. Slowly. At first, it's little things. A song that reminds them of you, a memory that pops up randomly. They scroll past your photo or something someone says triggers a flash of the relationship. And here's the thing, avoidants don't process emotion in real time. They delay. So, stage 2 is when the emotions they push down start to rise back up, and they don't know what to do with them. Now they're starting to question the story they told themselves. Was leaving really the best choice? Maybe I was too quick to walk away. What if I don't find that kind of connection again? But here's what's important for you to know. They probably won't tell you this, not yet, because avoidants struggle to be vulnerable even with themselves. Instead, they sit with that internal tension and try to suppress it. But the doubt is growing whether they admit it or not. This is a critical stage because this is where a lot of people mess up. You start feeling them pull emotionally, even if they're silent, and you think, "This is my chance." So you reach out, hoping to speed up the process. But don't. Let them feel that space. Let the doubt keep working. Your silence is powerful here, not as a punishment, but as a mirror. It forces them to sit with their own emotional choices. We're just getting started. Stage 3 is where nostalgia kicks in, and that's when things really start to move. Stage 3, the pull of nostalgia. By now, your avoidant ex has had time to sit with that space, and the doubts from stage 2 have started to poke holes in their "I'm better off without them" story. But here's where things shift in a deeper, more emotional way. This is the stage where nostalgia shows up. And listen, this isn't just them missing you in a general way. This is when their mind starts to romanticize the connection. They begin remembering the good stuff, the private jokes, the way you looked at them, the support you gave, how calm they felt around you. Not the tension, not the miscommunication, just the warmth. It's like their brain filters out all the mess and just plays a highlight reel. Let me give you a real example. Let's say they're out grocery shopping and they walk past your favorite snack. That tiny moment? Boom! Suddenly they're thinking about that time you cooked dinner together and danced in the kitchen, and it hits. Because now that emotional safety is no longer available, and it's making them feel something they didn't expect: loss. Avoidants don't recognize how much they care when you're present, but in your absence, that emotional gap becomes real. And it's uncomfortable, especially for someone who spent the whole relationship avoiding exactly that feeling. Now, here's where people get tempted. You might feel that shift energetically and want to reach out, but don't. This stage isn't a green light. It's a signal that your silence is doing exactly what it's supposed to, giving them the emotional space to realize what they pushed away. So what should you do? Stay the course. Keep focusing on yourself. Let the highlight reel play out in their head. You don't need to remind them of anything. Their own mind is already doing that for you. Stage 4, the inner conflict phase. And if your avoidant ex is here, things are starting to stir beneath the surface. This usually happens around month 3 or 4. By now, nostalgia has been quietly working on them, but they still haven't made a move. Why? Because now they're stuck in a tug-of-war. Missing you deeply, but still afraid of what reconnection might mean. This is where their thoughts get loud. One moment they're thinking, maybe I should reach out. The next moment, what if I get rejected? What if it's too late? Let me give you a quick real-world example. They see one of your Instagram stories. It's nothing special, just you at a cafe laughing with friends. And suddenly they feel that sting. You look happy. You're not chasing. That unsettles them more than they expected. Now, don't be fooled if they go silent or seem cold. That's actually a sign they're overwhelmed. In this stage, avoidants are feeling two things at once: pulled toward connection and fear of vulnerability. It's emotional whiplash. And here's the key for you. Don't interrupt this process. This stage is messy, but necessary. If you reach out now, you might relieve the pressure they need to feel in order to grow. Let them wrestle with it. That tension is what helps them move toward real decisions. Okay, so you've made it to stage 5. This is where things start to get interesting. After all the emotional tug-of-war from stage 4, your avoidant ex is starting to miss you in a way they can't ignore. The pull toward you is now stronger than the fear of getting hurt, but, and this is a big one, they're still going to be cautious. At this point, they're not ready to come running back with a love letter and full-blown apology. Instead, they test the waters. This is their version of inching toward connection without risking too much. So how does it look? You might get a random, "Hey, how have you been?" text. They might reply to your story with something casual like a laughing emoji. Or maybe they message you about a random item they left at your place or something they forgot to ask you months ago. Here's what's really happening. They're not just being polite, they're scanning for safety. They want to know, are you still mad? Have you moved on? Would it be safe for me to reach out more, or should I back off? That fear of rejection? It's still there. So, they'll tread lightly. Now this is where you have to stay grounded. Your reaction matters more than you think. If you come off cold or defensive, they may retreat. If you come off overly eager, they might panic and shut down. The goal? Warm but balanced, open but not chasing. Think of it like this. You're the calm in their internal storm. You don't need to decode every message or analyze every like. Just meet them with calm, clear energy. You're not proving your worth, you're showing you've kept it. One quick example. Let's say they message, "Hey, I heard a song that reminded me of you." You don't need to jump into deep conversation. A simple, "Nice, hope you're doing well too," sends a clear but calm signal. You're not shutting the door, but you're also not throwing it wide open just yet. Stage 5 usually shows up between month 4 and 5. It's a subtle, cautious stage, but it matters. This is how avoidants begin rebuilding emotional safety. So don't treat it like the final destination. It's just the beginning of potential reconnection. Stay grounded. Stay respectful of yourself. Let them come toward you. And trust that your consistency, emotional stability, and peace are what set you apart. That's the magnetic energy that draws someone back for the right reasons. If this stage sounds familiar, go ahead and hit that like button so I know this is helping you. And be sure to subscribe to stay updated as we move into stage 6, when the emotional doors really start to open. Alright, so we've made it to stage 6. And this is where things start to feel a little more real, because your avoidant ex is finally doing something they usually run from: emotional vulnerability. After testing the waters in stage 5, they've seen your response. You didn't panic, you didn't beg, you didn't block them either. You handled it with calm and maturity, and now they feel a little safer. Safe enough to move past the surface level check-ins and actually connect. At this point, you might notice the tone of their messages shift. They're reaching out more consistently, the conversations have more depth. You're not just talking about the weather or sending funny memes. You're revisiting memories, maybe even talking about how things ended. And that's a big deal. Because for someone with avoidant tendencies, talking about feelings doesn't come naturally. It usually triggers defense mode, but now they're leaning in. Cautiously, but still. They're showing up. Here's a real-world example. Maybe they say something like, "I drove by that restaurant we used to go to. Made me think about everything." Or they admit, "I didn't handle things the best way." They're not just reminiscing, they're opening a door. That's vulnerability creeping through. Now let me be clear. This is a delicate stage because while they're finally starting to access the emotions they've buried, they're still fragile. They're still afraid. They want to reconnect, but they don't want to lose themselves in the process. So how do you handle this? You stay grounded. Be warm, be open, but don't rush the process. Don't start acting like everything's back to how it was. Why? Because it's not. This stage is about building something better, not returning to the past. Also, keep your boundaries intact. Just because they're reconnecting doesn't mean you forget what caused the break in the first place. If they say, "I miss you," you don't have to say it back unless you truly feel it. If they want to talk about getting back together, it's okay to say, "Let's take it slow." You want to create a space where honesty is welcome, but you're also not the one doing all the emotional heavy lifting. They need to show they're willing to do the work, not just feel the feelings. Stage 6 can be emotional, sweet, even a little scary, But if handled with patience and self-respect, it becomes the bridge to real change. You're no longer guessing, you're communicating, and they're finally starting to understand that what they lost mattered. Stick around, because stage 7 is where the final decision happens, commitment or closure. We've made it to stage 7, the final phase. This is where things become crystal clear, whether you're getting back together or parting ways for good. After months of emotional buildup, relief, doubt, nostalgia, conflict, testing, and slow reconnection, your avoidant ex is now standing at a crossroads. And this time, they can't dodge the decision. It's no longer about fear or space or unfinished emotion. It's about action. They've felt the loss. They've explored the risk. They've reconnected. Now comes the moment where they ask themselves, am I truly ready to show up this time? Here's what it can look like in real life. If they're ready to commit, you'll notice a real shift. The messages go from "I miss you" to "Can we talk about making this work?" They begin showing consistency, not just with words, but with follow-through. They might say something like, "I've been thinking a lot about us. I know I hurt you, but I want to rebuild with you, not just for me." You'll see more vulnerability, more emotional effort. They're not just dipping their toe in the water anymore. They're stepping forward with both feet. But if they choose to walk away, it'll usually come with a soft, respectful explanation. Something like, "You mean a lot to me, but I'm not ready." Or, "This connection was special, but I'm not in a place where I can give what you deserve, and I know it hurts either way." Even if they leave kindly, it stings. But here's the silver lining. Now you finally have clarity, and clarity is what sets you free. Stage 7 is all about resolution. This isn't about winning or losing, it's about standing strong in your truth, no matter what choice they make. If they stay, great, but you set the tone. Be honest about your needs. Don't fall back into old patterns. Lay the foundation for something new, something emotionally healthy. If they go, let them, with grace. Because that doesn't mean you're not worthy, it just means and that has nothing to do with your value. This stage is your power moment. It's when you stop reacting to their avoidance and start honoring your own emotional bottom line. Whether this ends in reconnection or closure, you walk away with peace. That's what matters most. If you're in stage 7 or getting close, drop a comment below and let me know how you're feeling. I'd love to support you through it. And if this video gave you clarity, tap that like button, subscribe for more honest guidance on love and healing, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. No matter what happens next, remember, you were never waiting on them. You were rising into you. If you've made it to this point in the video, I just want to say thank you for being here. This journey hasn't been easy, I know that. When someone you cared about pulls away, especially someone with avoidant tendencies, it can feel personal, painful, and impossible to understand. But the truth is, their silence follows a pattern. And now, you know that pattern. You've just walked through the 7 key emotional stages an avoidant ex often experiences before even thinking about reconnecting. From the initial relief and detachment, through doubt and nostalgia, all the way to inner conflict, cautious testing, emotional vulnerability, and finally, commitment or closure. Each stage tells us something powerful, not just about them, but about you, about your strength in not chasing, about your clarity in choosing peace over confusion, and about your ability to grow no matter what decision they make in the end. Remember this: you're not here to decode someone's emotional chaos. You're here to build a life where love feels safe, reciprocal, and earned. So whether your ex returns or not, the most important reunion will always be the one you have with yourself. If this video helped you understand where your ex might be emotionally, or more importantly, where you are, please take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Let me know what stage you think your ex is in, or where you are in your own healing journey. I read every single comment, and your story could help someone else feel less alone. Until next time, take care of your heart, honor your boundaries, and remember, your peace is the most attractive thing you'll ever own.